Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk about sugar alcohols. We're going to cover what they are and, what they're made of, where they come from, what they do to our bodies, and really, are they free? Because I know that I've looked in at different recipes and I've seen people say you can subtract the sugar alcohols from the total carb content and everything. And I'm thinking, sweet, that is awesome. I want to make sure. And so I wanted to research sugar alcohols and really just see what they're about, especially because I've seen so many different kinds and what is the best kind and everything like that. So I did some research and I want to share with you what I've learned. Hopefully I can help you guys. I know I learned a lot, and so here we go. So sugar alcohols, they're neither sugar nor an alcohol, but their chemical structure represents both. Okay, they are natural, made from plant sources and stuff like that. And they don't spike our insulin levels or anything like that. Most of them don't even sweeten things as much to the same extent as sugar, but they still, they're helpful in sweetening things. They are a carb though. Regardless, they are carbs. Now the thing with it is, and why people say to subtract them from the total carb content is, they think it's because, if it doesn't affect your blood sugar, then it doesn't matter. But it does. There's still a carb. I can add cinnamon and it's not going to my, vanilla shake or something like that, my protein shake, or onto whatever, and it's going to help my metabolism, whatever the way it works in my body, but it's not going to raise my insulin levels. But it has carbs in it. Okay, so the spices, your garlics and stuff, those things that have carbs, but they're not going to do the same thing as what if you had a tablespoon of sugar. So that wouldn't be why you'd not want to subtract it. The thing is sugar alcohols are extremely difficult for our bodies to digest. So ultimately, our bodies only digest about half of the sugar alcohols that we consume. So you need to look, if you think like there's a recipe and it says sugar alcohols. In fact, I have a sugar-free syrup, maple syrup, that I don't have in my cupboard right now because I had some. And so it says that it has 5 total carbs and that sugar alcohols is 5. So if that's the case, shoot, I'm not having any carbs, right? Well, my body is actually going to be able to digest half of those. So in actuality, 1 serving of that, which is 2 tablespoons, I've now consumed 2.5 carbs. Wait a minute, I thought it was 0, right? That's why I checked. That changes a lot because even 2 carbs can add up a lot in our low carb eating plans. So you definitely want to make sure that you are only subtracting half of the sugar alcohols to get a more realistic carb count. Now, there are multiple different types of sugar alcohols, and they're not all made the same. So, as I said, when you consume sugar alcohols, half of it gets digested. The other half go through your small intestines into your large intestines. And in your large intestines, they sit there and they ferment. That fermenting or whatever can cause gas and bloating and diarrhea and all that other stuff. So that is where I've heard a lot of people say they have issues with the sugar alcohols, and so they don't want to take them. But even those are not made the same. So what you end up having, actually, you might have somebody who tried xylitol and it was horrible in their stomach and everything. They were miserable. I'm not trying anything else. But maybe they tried mannitol or erythritol and they wouldn't have had the same issues, or they won't have the same issues. And so they could just try the different ones. Don't quite give up on it yet. But then, so I'm going to go through these different ones, and then we're going to kind of talk about whether or not sugar alcohols are the best. And we'll just a quick rundown of the 3 choices. Well, 4 choices, I guess. So there's xylitol, which has 2.5 calories per gram. Okay. Now think of this. Sugar itself, regular sugar, has 4 calories per gram. So xylitol has 2.4. Maltitol has 2.1. Erythritol is the lowest at 0.2 calories per gram. Mannitol has 1.6, while isomalt and lactitol have 2.2 calories per gram each. Sorbitol is up there, 2.6 calories per gram. And then there's hydrogenated starch hydrolysates, which are HSHs, and those are 3 calories per gram. So they're almost just as the same as sugar. So those ones are definitely probably the last you know on your list of ones you want to add into a recipe. So the question is, are they worth it? You know, you still have to count the carbs and stuff. Okay, well, gosh, that's going to add carbs. So your choices are to use something like aspartame or Splenda or something like that. Those are chemically made, so they're not natural, and they don't have carbs, they don't have calories, that kind of thing. So sure, you could use those. Or you could use one of these different sugar alcohols, which we talked about the different things that they do in the body, and that you still do have to count some, but not all of it gets digested, doesn't spike your insulin levels and stuff like that. You can use regular sugar, which we know we don't want to do that on that low carb diet, or you can go without. Just straight up, nope, I don't need any sugar. And some of you are blessed to be able to do that, and then others might be able to relate to my next story. So I realized at one point that I was extremely addicted to sugar. And this was when, years ago, I was actually cake decorating, mind you. So very easy to get even more addicted to sugar, right? But I was doing good. I was staying away from everything, that kind of thing. But I was trying to stop eating sugars and just eat healthy and all this stuff. Well, I was sitting on the couch with my husband at the time. We're not, because I was married at the time, and I had asked him. I said, "Hey, do you think it'd be okay if I had, just a couple spoonfuls of ice cream? That's all. That's it. That's all I want. Just a couple, right? That'd be all right." And I'm like trying to find ways to justify it, and he's like, "No, you can't have that. That's not gonna help." I was like, "Fine." I'm mad, disappointed, whatever, devastated, right? And this is where I found out that I was 100% addicted to sugar. He got up, he left the room to go do something, whatever. And so I proceeded to get up and went to the silverware drawer, got myself a spoon, and I went to the freezer and I opened it up. And I opened up the ice cream and I ate a couple bites. And I quickly put the lid on, put it in, and shut the fridge, especially because I think I thought I heard him coming, and I didn't want anybody to know, right? And I washed my spoon, and I'm like, oh yeah, la la la, nothing's going on, I didn't do anything, and realized right then and there that I had a problem. I was addicted to sugar, and it was a problem. So obviously, years down the road, when I decide to start eating ketogenic full time, it becomes a big problem because I can't have those carbohydrates. So I did good for a period of time, and then I was like, I can't, it's not that I couldn't. I decided I would cheat one meal or something, and then all of a sudden it just exploded into all the time I got cravings. So when I decided to go ahead and do my mass prep, you saw I made some chocolate chip cookie fat bombs. That was to help alleviate that. Now, is that going to benefit me? Because again, we have to count those carbs. So what I went ahead and did, I had measured out each fat bomb. They're 1.2 ounces. So I took 1.2 ounces of cookie dough, regular cookie dough. And mind you, if I don't have this, then I might crave, and I might go and get something like that. And so that's where this comparison comes from. And just a little explanation kind of to put it out there. So my 1.2 ounces of cookie dough, or regular cookie dough, was 166.8 calories, where my fat bombs were 167.8 calories. So one extra calorie. Otherwise, they're the same amount of calories. Okay? Now, theirs has 7.7 grams of fat. Regular cookie dough does. The cookie dough I made has 14.3 grams of fat. Okay, well, that's important in a ketogenic eating plan. Well, their cookie dough, or regular cookie dough, has 22.2 grams of carbohydrates. the one I made, because I had to count those sugar alcohols. And of course, I added some almond butter, and I added some, and it's made with cream cheese, and both have carbohydrates. So it comes to 7.2 grams of carbohydrates. So that is still pretty high for a ketogenic diet. Now, however, there's many recipes that I found that say they're low carb and, keto friendly, and they have around 6 to 7 grams of carbs. So that's not too bad for just one little, just to keep you from going to the regular cookie dough, right? I do add protein to a lot of my stuff just to try and get some protein in there for helping me to build some muscles. And so mine have 4.3 grams of protein, where regular cookie dough has 1.7, and that's probably because of the eggs. So if you take out the eggs out of regular cookie dough, you're probably not going to have any protein in there. So for me, that is very beneficial to have. Now, I know that it has 7.2 carbohydrates, grams of carbs. So I definitely don't want to have these cookie dough fat bombs in the morning or in the midday, but it's a great for an evening like dessert or something like that, because then I can turn and look and say, oh, look, I still have enough room in my, in my percentages or my goals for carbohydrates that I can have one. So awesome. I get to fit one in today, and, but it's there, so I don't go all crazy. Where if I had already, some of the meals I had higher levels of carbs in it, and I was really at my threshold, then I would want to tell myself, no, you can't have that. Where, think about it, if I had been like, oh, I had sugar alcohols, if I had, I could have maybe 4 grams of carbs, and I really truly didn't want to go over that. I was kind of even pushing my regular limit, and I thought I could, take out the sugar alcohols, and they were all 0, then I'm like, oh, sure, I can have this. Well, that threshold may be set because if I have any more than that, I gain weight, or I really don't lose, or, I feel icky, or whatever the case may be. So I have to state that threshold. Without counting it correctly, I may go over and then sabotage my results or the reasons why that I want to be on the ketogenic eating plan. So that was just kind of, I wanted to share that with you. Hopefully answer any questions anybody had with that, resolve some misconceptions maybe. If you guys have any questions and want me to research it or whatever, I love researching, so I'd be happy to do that. Or any other questions, feel free to ask. Also share some recipes, and I'll be glad to try and, make them into keto friendly, as well as, I can provide you all the true macro counts and everything else. I'll be providing fitness tips, going out on adventures and excursions, and taking you guys with me. So I look forward to hanging out with you. Faith, fitness, be strong, and have fun.